Hey guys, today I have another Walking Dead video for you. This video is going to be a Q&A all about the TV show. So question 1 is, who is your favourite male character? My favourite male character, as cliche as it may sound, is Sheriff Deputy Rick Grimes. Because he's the main character, we get to see his story a lot, so we get to relate to him a lot and follow his journey so much. And despite the horrific things that Rick has done during the Walking Dead TV show, I still find myself always rooting for him. Question 2 is, who is your favourite female character? My favourite female character is Michonne. If you look up badass mofo in the dictionary, you won't find it because there's no such thing. But if there was such a thing as badass mofo in the dictionary, look it up and you would find the word Michonne underneath it. She has just got this vibe about her that makes her so interesting, even though for most of the time she's silent, she doesn't say anything. It's just everything in her eyes, she's so intense, and she's just a really interesting character that doesn't lay it out all on the line already, so you want to know more about her, and she is pretty kick-ass. Question 3 is, who is your least favourite male? My least favourite male is Dale, because it rhymes. No, it's not because it rhymes. My least favourite is Dale because during the 2 seasons that he's in, I don't know, there's just something about him. He just seems like this know-it-all, and he comes across as like, everybody has to listen to me because I'm the oldest, therefore I'm the wisest and I have all the answers. He's just this character that I find really annoying. The next question is, who is your least favourite female? And my least favourite female in the TV show is Andrea. In the comics, she's probably my favourite female character, but in the comics and the TV show, Andrea is two completely different people. The whole thing with the governor, like the fact that she couldn't kill him, and I know that obviously it was written that way and the governor had to come back for everything else that was epic within like season 3 and season 4, but if it was real life, I'd be even more pissed, because it's like, this guy, you know what this guy is, he's an absolute monster, you've seen it for yourself. But it's true, I can't remember who says it, I think it was Merle, but somebody was like, you know, you've gone all goo-goo-eyed for the governor. And it's true, she obviously started fancying him, and she then put on her rose-tinted glasses and couldn't see past that, so couldn't bring herself to kill him, which resulted in lots of deaths, her own included. Question 5 is a couple that you love. And the couple that I love the most is Glenn and Maggie, because their relationship is really organic. Luckily for them, they've got to play it out from season 2 all the way up to now and beyond. Hopefully it's one of those ones that can carry on, because I think it's the most organic romantic relationship that the show has had. Question 6 is your favourite episode. My favourite episode is in season 6, episode 9, and it's called No Way Out, and it is the mid-season premiere when season 6 came back this year. Everything from Daryl taking out the motorbike guys, to the whole Alexandria slaughter, to the Anderson family getting wiped out, and Carl getting shot in the eye. I think those 4 things, and then everything else that weaves in together with it, just make it the best episode of The Walking Dead. Question 7 is your favourite scene. My favourite scene is from No Way Out, and it's the Alexandria slaughter, basically where everyone in Alexandria that's still alive comes out of the houses, comes out of hiding, and follows in Rick's footsteps and just takes out all the zombies. You just have, again, you have this sense of hope that these people can actually do this and they can actually survive in this world, and everybody can pull together and make it out of the impossible. I mean, you saw the amount of walkers that got into Alexandria. How they actually defeated them, I don't know. but it was also shot in a way completely different to anything that we'd seen on The Walking Dead, with the close-ups of each character slashing the knives or whatever they were doing, and then ending with Rick with his epic slash. Question 8 is a scene that made you laugh. One of my favourite scenes that makes me laugh is the scene where the survivors are on their way to the hilltop in the RV, and Abraham says to Glenn, "When you were pouring the Bisquick, were you trying to make pancakes?" And Glenn's just like, "Yes." And the second scene that makes me laugh is when they've got to the hilltop and Gregory's just been stabbed, and Rick takes on the other guy and just slashes his throat, and then he gets up and he's covered in blood, and all the people from the hilltop come out and are like, "What the hell's going on?" And Rick just turns to him and is just like, "What? Like, this is normal. Like, what are you looking at? Like, this? That? What?" And question 9 is a scene that made you cry, and the scene, there's a few that have made me cry obviously, but the worst scene that made me cry is when Herschel died, because it was just horrible. Basically, it was just horrible. It wasn't even just a clean blow, and he didn't get to die without any pain. That's what made it worse. It's like he was made to suffer and he did nothing wrong. Question 10 is a scene that made you speechless. One of those scenes was the scene in season 4 in the last episode where Rick bites Joe's throat out and spits it out, and then goes over to the guy that almost raped Carl and just stabs him in the gut and then just slashes him all the way up. You don't see it, but you hear it, you know exactly what's going on. It's like, wow, this is the point that Rick has got to. He will literally do anything to save his son, and that's what makes him so likable. Even though he's taking out guys in these ridiculous, disgusting ways, he's doing whatever he can to save his son. Question 11 is the creepiest walker. I'm gonna have to go with the bicycle girl. It's such a horrific one, because you know, Rick's seeing this for the very first time. It's the worst example of a walker he could be shown for the very first time of him seeing one. And the fact that she's just been cut in half and it's literally just half a body crawling along the floor. She's got hardly any, she's just skin and bone. Blech. Question 13 is the saddest death. Now, the saddest death for me, the death itself didn't impact me much. This is the death of Beth. I mean, obviously it impacted me because she was really sweet and she was innocent and she didn't deserve it, but she wasn't one of those characters that I'd really grown attached to, so I wasn't distraught when she died. But the reason that it's the saddest death for me is actually Maggie's reaction. And she thinks that, you know, because everybody's coming out of the hospital, oh, here comes Beth. And you can see it on her face, you can see that she's smiling and she's like, oh, thank God. And then when they sort of part and she sees Daryl walking with Beth in her arms, and the way that she just breaks down on the floor, that's what makes Beth's death the saddest for me. Question 14 is a character that changed for the best. This has definitely got to be Carol. She started off in season 1 as this timid little woman who was getting beat by her husband, and she wasn't saying anything. She was sticking up for him and defending him even when other people were telling him to lay off of her. She was just this wreck. She was a person who, if it wasn't for everybody else there, probably would not have survived the apocalypse. And luckily, throughout the seasons, we've got to see her character develop so much more, and we've got to see her change gradually. I don't think there was any one point really where we actually saw like a snap and it was like, now she's going to become badass Carol. We kind of saw it coming slowly and gradually. Question 15 is a character that changed for the worst, and this has to be Shane. Shane definitely started off as the guy who you wanted to be behind in the apocalypse. It was like he knew what he was doing, he knew what he had to do to protect people, he was strong enough to do that, he was in the police, so he knew how to use guns, he knew how to defend himself, he knew how to defend others, he knew how to attack, he had a plan for everything. He just knew how to run things, and he was a very good leader. And then obviously when Rick came, if Shane had not been having an affair with Laurie, I think Shane and Rick would have gotten on so much better. I mean, they were best friends before the apocalypse, and Shane obviously wasn't with Laurie then. And I think he would have just been such an asset to the group. But because of the downward spiral that happened, I think he was no longer an asset to the group, and he actually became a liability to the group. Question 16 is, who do you think is the most naive character? And I think that accolade has to go to Morgan. I think this whole all life is precious thing is, in the apocalypse, it's just a thing that is not going to work. And he proved it in the last episode of season 6 when he shot that guy to save Carol. It's not that all life is precious. Maybe all life is precious, but to an individual person, different people's lives are more precious than others to yourself. So if one person's life is more precious to you than that person, if you need to kill that person to make sure that that precious life lives, then you got to kill that person. And I think his whole mentality of he can change everybody and make everybody better, I'd like to see him meet up with Negan and try and change Negan's mind, because it's not going to work. So I just think this whole all life is precious thing it doesn't work in the apocalypse. Question 17 is, what would be your weapon of choice? Depending on the circumstances of which I would find myself, I don't know what all this is, I would choose a machine gun. I don't know why, because it's loud, and no, loud, you don't want loud in the apocalypse, because it shoots a lot of bullets at the same time, and I've never shot a gun before, so my aim would probably be really shit in real life in the apocalypse. So I'd need something that has a lot of bullets fast, so that I can get the aim right. Question 18, what would you do if you got bit? If I got bit on my finger or my hand or arm or ankle or something like that, then straight away, hopefully, if there was something around, I'd cut it off. If I got bit somewhere like that and like it was too late, like I ran out of time to be able to cut it off, then I'd have to kill myself or get somebody else to kill me, because I just wouldn't want to have the fever and the whole dying and coming back thing. I don't want to be a walker, so I would have somebody kill me. I would not want to come back as a walker. Question 19 is a scene that surprised you. The first real surprise that The Walking Dead ever really did was in season 2, in the mid-season finale, when Sophia came out of the barn and she was a walker. I was definitely one of those people who thought that they were going to find her. I mean, I knew that it was a show about zombies and it was the apocalypse and it was the end of the world, and you should not have any hope for anybody because nobody's safe. But it was one of those things where she's a little girl, they're gonna find her. And then when she came out of the barn and she was a walker, I was just gobsmacked. The last question, question 20, is the worst mistake a character made. The worst mistake I think a character made was Laurie sleeping with Shane. I like Laurie. I like her. She was a good mother, despite what people say. Sorry, I'm banging on my knee here. I like her, despite what people say. I think she was a nice person. She made a mistake. I don't think she was a terrible person for sleeping with Shane. She's only human. She thought her husband was dead. She needed some comfort and Shane was there to give it to her. But because she made that decision, I just think everything kind of went downhill from there, especially because we don't know who Judith's father is. And as much as I want it to be Rick, it could very well not be, and I will never find out. So those were the Q&A questions for the Walking Dead TV show. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!